Every few years, the factory building genre produces a genuine obsession. Factorio and Sandustry have both caused people to lose entire weeks, while still insisting they're going to stop after fixing one more conveyor belt. And Sandustry hopes to join that pantheon. The easiest description is Factorio meets Terraria, an automation game inside a fully destructible world where practically every pixel can be mined, processed, or accidentally dropped on top of your machinery. But an unusual concept alone doesn't make a classic. After 12 hours with the early access review build, the real question is whether Sandustry's physics do genuinely create a new kind of factory game, or whether the novelty gets buried beneath several million grains of sand. Welcome to LT Gaming, my name is Tom, and this is our Should You Buy series, where we help people decide whether a new game is actually worth your time and money. This video is completely unsponsored and all opinions are our own. So what exactly is Sandustry, and could it genuinely become the genre's next viral sensation? Now, let me be honest, factory games aren't naturally my forte. I often lack the patience to design the perfect production chain, and my solutions tend to follow one principle: if it technically works, don't touch it. Sandustry does begin simple enough. You mine through some terrain, collect resources, construct conveyors, launchers and increasingly elaborate machines, and then you process what you find into gold, and that fuels further exploration, unlocks better tools and extraction methods. What appears straightforward quickly becomes impressively convoluted. A machine sending sand in one direction evolves into a sprawling chain where resources are separated, processed, redirected, and fired across your factory. Progress means turning primitive systems into something faster, cleaner, and considerably more complicated. The major difference is that every grain of sand is physically simulated. Resources fall, pile up, spill into the wrong places, and create a lot of problems that you didn't plan for. And it's strangely Moorish. I found even my inner perfectionist emerging, where one solitary grain contaminated my residue or seed storage, and suddenly I had to stop everything because this beige intruder had offended me personally. An underlying story also encourages you to explore the planet, unlock new tech tiers, and for early access launch there is a good chunk of content here. Right, let's start with the positive, the good. Sandustry's greatest strength is how reactive and hands-on its physics feel. You mine sand, separate residue, set it on fire, press the resulting materials into gold and seed, and there is a satisfying logic to the process, watching each pixel react, and it helps you understand what your factory is doing. The water and fluid mechanics are particularly interesting and bloody challenging, I gotta say, and they're harder to tame than sand. But this makes the experimentation even more satisfying. You heat water into steam, condense it back into water, and naturally discover elaborate ways of setting everything on fire. You're learning how the world behaves rather than following a fixed recipe. There is a touch of grind, but Sandustry regularly gives you something meaningful in return. A new tech tier opens up, and another collection of tools and systems for you to dive into. Those tools provide a lot of welcome flexibility. If transporting materials through a pristine conveyor belt network proved beyond my industrial talents, I could just use drones to move them in bulk instead. Sandustry rewards clever automation without completely punishing a factory held together with a bit of optimism. I also think exploration and the factory building side complement each other quite naturally. I'd head out to see what was buried elsewhere, encounter a technological roadblock, then return home and switch into automation mode to gather what I needed. And that change of focus kept me very engaged. There was always another resource to focus on trying to process, a region to explore or machine to improve. And I gotta say, the visuals and sound match the game perfectly. Everything is easy to understand, a high degree of clarity, and with thousands of pixels pouring, burning and reacting, it gives you an oddly hypnotic quality. And efficiency isn't merely calculated, it's something for you to enjoy. A quick one, if you are enjoying this review, consider liking the video and subscribing to LT Gaming. It genuinely helps Luke and I keep covering promising strategy, simulation, and all manner of games like this, and we genuinely appreciate it. Alright, back to it. Now, on the bad side of things, I gotta say my main frustration was with how much work could be involved in improving an existing factory. During my first run, I went so far down the wrong path of optimizing that restarting my game was actually the easier fix than doing it all manually. And this highlighted a broader issue to me. As new tech tiers unlocked, I occasionally lacked the desire to delete half my factory and rebuild around the new tech. Some players will relish that challenge, no doubt, but this is where things can become grindy for me. There is no way to save a successful production chain as a reusable template. A blueprint system for me would have made experimentation smoother, particularly once you're repeating familiar setups across the map. I personally as well would have liked it to have been a bit easier to replace existing tiles or machines directly, because removing part of a structure that then allows sand or water to escape, for example, and flood your factory could be quite frustrating. The tutorials are solid, but I think an in-game codex explaining material behavior would improve onboarding, and being able to check previously discovered reactions would make all these systems easier to manipulate without removing the discovery element. Technically, I gotta say my experience is very solid. I encountered no bugs or performance issues. My remaining reservation is a bit more subjective. Exploration offers meaningful discoveries, but occasionally I just want an external challenge beyond resources and factory improvement. Some danger, varied quests or stronger objectives could provide more direction when optimization alone stops being enough. Sandustry's complexity never pushed me away though, but sometimes I lacked a reason to keep refining the machine beyond greater efficiency. For genre veterans, this is probably not going to connect, but for players like me, the game could occasionally use more of a push behind it. So, should you buy Sandustry? My verdict is a buy. At the time of recording, an official price still hasn't appeared. I'd expect something around $15 to $25 with the launch discount, and assuming it lands there, the content comfortably justifies it. Sandustry is a damn fine factory game. Its physics aren't a gimmick, they change how you construct, troubleshoot and interact with your production chains. For factory game fans, this feels like a no-brainer. There's plenty to build and optimize, and it's a lower stress experience. Even if it isn't your go-to genre, the exploration and physical simulation and the flexible toolbox will make it more approachable than elaborate factories suggest. Wait on this one though if you want enormous scale and near endless complexity of the more established automation games out there. Sandustry may reach that closer to version 1.0, but it's not there yet. And if extracting the maximum gold from several million grains of sand turns you cold, this game isn't going to convert you. But for the right player, Sandustry is already worth buying. With continued content, stronger quest direction, and a few quality of life improvements, I can see this becoming a real darling of the genre, and perhaps its next viral sensation. Those are my thoughts after 12 hours, but let me know what you think of Sandustry below. And if our Should You Buy series is helping you make more informed decisions, consider subscribing to LT Gaming for a lot more coverage. Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye now.